Hey everyone, good morning. It's Blair here at Time Trades. Thanks for joining me this weekend. And this is your weekly video for Sunday, August 14th. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to start by reviewing last week's forecast, which you can see on the screen here. I drew out this yellow path, which so far has worked out really well. And how did I know, or what were the influencers of this yellow path of price? Just to review what we're looking at here before I answer that question, this is NASDAQ futures daily, and we've got the time trades indicator on the screen showing the cheat code, which is the teal and purple vertical lines, and the Gann waves, which are the blue and yellow and green vertical lines, and the magic levels, which are the orange and white price lines. Okay, so this indicator is really helpful in finding areas of potential turns. And this was really the basis of the forecast last week. I looked very closely at the Gann waves. I've been looking over the last few months. Those of you that have been with me for a few months have known that I've been researching different context indicators, contextual indicators. And by that, I mean indicators that can help to detect some of the major turns in the market. And I believe my search is over, and I think the primary contextual indicator going forward is going to be the Gann waves, at least for now. They're working very well at the moment. I'm just going to highlight them here for you so you can see exactly what I mean. Okay. So I've drawn a red bubble around Gann waves that indicate tops within 1 or 2 days of a top, and a green bubble around Gann waves that indicate bottoms 1 or 2 days within a bottom. Okay, so going back all the way to May as the big flush down was in full swing, yellow Gann wave top, blue Gann wave bottom, yellow Gann wave top, blue Gann wave bottom, and now we start to get into a bit of a bottoming pattern here as the yellow Gann wave top comes in. This yellow Gann wave here was within 2 days of the actual top that tagged a magic level at 12,200 on the NASDAQ. And then we had a green Gann wave bottom. However, this green Gann wave bottom was, look at where this candle is. It's basically at the same price as the yellow Gann wave top. Okay, so there's a clue in that right there that we're not making lower lows anymore. Also, the blue Gann wave bottom is above the prior blue. Okay, so the pattern of lower lows has been broken. Okay, and that was July 13th. All right, so July 14th we get what looks like a hammer on the Heiken Ashi bar here. And then we separate above the orange magic level at 11,700. So by the 15th, had I been using this method at the time, I would have been long here given all of the context that had been lined up. However, I wasn't using this method at the time and was not long. All right, so now we came up here into a yellow Gann wave. And this guy is white because, according to our theory, yellow Gann wave should be a top. But this is obviously not a top because within a day of that yellow Gann wave, price pushed up through the high that was made on that day, and it hasn't looked back. All right. So this is another clue that things are inverting into a strong bullish scenario where we've traced out the bottom. And now yellow is no longer marking tops, but it's simply basically pause points, I guess, on the way up. So now we're up here, and we had a blue Gann wave on the 10th, on August 10th. We got a couple days worth of reaction here, and that's what I talked about on last week's forecast, that we would see a slight reaction down into that Gann wave coming down off the top of this teal line. Teal lines tend to indicate highs. And we got that high right on a magic level. So that was like a perfect hit there on the morning of the 8th. Price sold off. Everyone got bearish. And then we got a little bit of news and everyone bought. So now here we are, we're separating above this magic level, which is very bullish at 13,400. And we've got our next Gann Wave yellow level, which traditionally indicates tops, coming up around the 22nd, 23rd. And that also coincides with another cheat code teal line day. So this is my primary time horizon right now for another top to be established. Okay, there's a secondary time horizon. We could see a bit of a reaction halfway between, you know, these teal lines. The teal lines are drawn. What these mean is these are halfway between eclipses. And so they mark halfway between the eclipse cycle. And sometimes we get two teal lines like this. Sometimes we get one. It all depends on, you know, how the lunar cycle is happening that time. So what we see here is we've got two teal lines. So the exact halfway between an eclipse is right around the 15th. So that's Monday. And we may see a bit of a reaction then. But I still think the primary area to look for a top is up here on the 22nd, 23rd, when we see another teal line day along with a Gann wave yellow. And after that, we will expect to see the start of at least a normal Gann wave cycle where price drops down into the blue Gann wave. Okay, so successful forecast last week. Let's see if that continues. This continues to be my path forward. Never underestimate the ability of the NASDAQ to make higher highs in the face of fundamentals that that look a little shaky, and that's exactly what's happening right here, right now. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the other stocks here that we've got. We've got the NASDAQ cash. This is the QQQ. And again, we can turn on Gann Waves and we can take a look at the price action around these areas. I think it's very important to sort of reinforce this. This is a 30-minute chart, though. And what we see here is on a 30-minute chart, we've got the Gann Wave on June 29th. And this was supposed to be a high, okay? This looks like we got the high, you know, the prior day. All right. So again, this is sort of plus or minus 1 day, sometimes 2. So that's something to be aware of on a lower time frame. Okay, is that Gann waves can, you know, these things are never exact. So we've got the higher high, but then this guy is marked in white because price declined, as one would expect, but then it recovered, okay? So it recovered back into the price area of the high that preceded the Gann wave, right? And then we declined into the blue low, but we did not make a lower low than the prior blue. And then after that, we had price pop up on July 15th above that critical magic level. We had a little retest back here to the red EMAs, which is a square of 12. So if you want to see the setup on these EMAs, it's basically a 103 period EMA and 144 period EMA. So these moving averages complement the magic levels super well. And when you see price being supported by them from below, like here, this they're starting to become a strong support level. Okay, and then we come up here into this yellow Gann wave again. Traditionally, this should mark a top. In this case, it did not. That's why this bubble here is white, because price pushed up above the high on that preceded the Gann wave. Okay, so one of the techniques that you can apply here is if you've got a yellow Gann wave, which should be a high, you can set a buy stop right around the preceding high. And you know that if price gets through, then it's going to run for a bit until likely the next Gann wave. All right, so that's one technique that you can use to help you participate in these big moves that are happening right now. All right, so now we're up here. We just had our Gann wave low. We got a little bit of a reaction down into it. And then this was a spot, knowing that this is traditionally a low, and knowing that the blue Gann wave is higher than the yellow Gann wave, that the playing field is really tilted toward the bulls. Okay, so you can take advantage of that, and basically on this weak pullback, you can load up down here, and that was confirmed with this strong close above the 322 magic level, and we finished the week up here at 330. I think we've got more to run. We've got a bunch of magic levels up here, and this is where I love to use magic levels, is that they can indicate areas of resistance. We've got the next one at 335, and then after that 346. So we can expect to see price continue to move up. The next decision point for me is going to be looking at the price action right around August 22nd. I think we're going to start to see elements of a top. Remember, tops tend to be rounded. They're very rarely are there V-shaped tops or inverted V tops. So I expect in the few days around the 22nd to start to see some topping price action. Okay, so that's a good review of kind of where we stand on the Qs. Let's take a look at natural gas. Natural gas is another one that I've been trading successfully here based on Gann waves. And you can see how well this yellow Gann wave up here marked the high on July 27th within 1 day of this spike high up to 9.7. And now we got the blue Gann wave down here on August 10th, and that tagged a low within 2 days, and now we're boosting off of that. August also tends to be one of the most bullish months for natural gas, because we've got a combination of air conditioning usage. We've got a combination of trying to refill storage for the coming winter, and we also have hurricane season in the Gulf, which can randomly shut down production. So all of those factors are combining, along with the new factor of LNG exports. I don't usually care about fundamentals, but I just love the fundamentals of natural gas, North American natural gas at the moment, for a long play. The only challenge in trading this is it is crazy volatile. So don't overdo it. Be aware of the very high daily range here. Size your positions accordingly, set your stops accordingly. But remember to always take a step back and take a look at the daily chart. The daily chart is honestly a lot easier to read and trade than the intraday chart here. And you can see how extended these trends can get, right? That doesn't mean I'm guaranteeing there's going to be, another extended trend up here into the end of August. But that being said, what I am seeing is the Gann waves are very predictive when it comes to natural gas. And I'm liking the look of the chart right now combined with the fundamentals. Okay, let's go and take a look at time trades here. And we're going to flip over to the web application and take a look at some of the daily probabilities. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to give an update on the roadmap. Okay, so let's go here to Keynote. All right, so we've got our framework for decision making. This should be familiar to you if you've viewed this video before. So where I've been spending a lot of my research lately is in the middle of the pyramid on context. Price, of course, is always number one in decision-making importance. So that's why we use things like MATIC levels and Heikin-Ashi bars. It really helps to clarify price. On the context side, Gann waves, we talked about already. Cheat code time periods, we've talked about those as well. We're also going to talk a little bit about short-term waves coming up. And then third in importance is the daily forecast. And it's important to reiterate here that these are subject to inversions. Time Trades is a big association engine, okay? So stocks with less price history than others and stocks with extended downtrends, those can develop biases in the forecast for the daily forecast for those daily probabilities. Okay, so this is why these are third in the stack in decision making importance. Okay, I also want to give a little update here on the roadmap. There's no change to what I'm working on. I just wanted to give an update. So automating the calculation of influencers. So this is going to be going live today. I worked on that this week. So we're going to be able to update 4 symbols per day. It takes about 5 hours to update and recalculate the influencers for only 4 symbols. So we're going to be incrementally working our way through that backlog. And I'm going to automate that so that every day we can calculate influencers for another 4 symbols. The calendar tab is also appears to be a little bit broken at the moment, so I'm going to fix that. Once we get influencers calculated, then I'm going to be able to generate a trading view script that is custom for each symbol that shows the most important influencers on your trading view. So those could be at a daily level or an intraday level. Haven't quite gotten there yet. So that's still in the backlog of the roadmap. And work is underway on creating these trading view scripts for key historical time periods. I've been downloading some more data. I need like 100 years or so of lunar node locations. So I got that this week, and then I'll be able to use that data to generate these scripts that should be helpful for those of you that like to do your own research offline. Okay, so that's a little roadmap update. Let's go back to Time Trades and we'll talk about the queues. So when it comes to the queues, one of the things I want to talk about here is, okay, so on the chart, you're seeing the cheat code lines. These are the purple and teal lines. We've also got the MATIC levels. So those are orange and white horizontals. And we also have short-term waves, okay? And in short-term waves, we've got yellow, which is Mercury speed, and we've got blue, which is Mercury-Venus separation in longitude, okay? So one of the things I like about the short-term waves is it really clarifies where Mercury is in its retrograde cycle. One of the things you'll find here is that by the time it goes retrograde, which is usually right around, you see this thin yellow line here? That's not a MATIC level. That is the 0 line of Mercury speed. So by the time Mercury speed goes negative, that's when it's retrograde, okay? If you go back in time and you take a look at Mercury speed here, you'll notice that a lot of the decline happens as it's slowing down, but before it's retrograde. And then by the time it actually gets to retrograde, that's closer to the end of the decline, right? So Mercury speeding up as it's coming out of retrograde, you tend to see some good increases. So you can scroll through Time Trades and take a look and see what I mean. This is a great example here. Back in December, we had Mercury at maximum speed, and then it starts slowing down. And as it was slowing down, but still in direct motion, that's when we saw the dump really start, right? And then as it went retrograde, the few days when it went retrograde here, the dump certainly continued and steepened and deepened, and then it finished right at max retrograde. But then there was a strong recovery as Mercury retrograde continued, but the retrograde motion slowed down and it slowly made its way direct. Okay, so I really like to see this visual on my screen because to me, Mercury speed is a more important leading indicator than Mercury retrograde. Basically, by the time it's retrograde, the dump's about half finished. And you can see how late we are in the Mercury speed cycle here, okay? And this is starting to be reflected in some of the probabilities on the Qs. And this is an example of what I think is an inversion down here. We can see here there's probabilities of a pivot low on August 22nd, 23rd. I think this is going to end up being a pivot high in practice. So it's real important to apply your own neural network to these probabilities and not take them literally. That will set you up for success in using time trades. Okay, but based on everything that we've covered so far, I do think we're going to start to see a decline heading into September. Okay, so that's the Qs. Let's take a look at spiders. And one of the things that I like to do with time trades is look at multiple symbols in order to build my own bias and build my own opinion here. And here you can see, again, we've got a cluster of down days coming right after this teal line right on August 22nd. So August 22nd, 23rd, and this is also, remember, when the next Gann Wave yellow period hits, this is going to be a critical time, okay? And I think this is when Mercury speed is really going to get some traction and start to drag price down. Okay, and then we've got the Dow. Dow's similar to the spiders. We're still levitating up here. We've got this pivot low, which I believe is going to invert. And then afterwards, we've got a cluster of red that pushes down into mid to late September. Let's look at IWM. So IWM is probably a little bit more bullish than the rest. We just got through this white magic level here, just poked through there. We've got a few more green days coming up. So again, 19th, 22nd in that area. This is our topping zone. And it looks like it may bounce around here as it forms a top. We've got a pivot high over here, September 13th, but then a similar cluster of red heading into late September and the depths of Mercury. Okay, so let's take a look at TLT here. This is the 30-year bond. One of the things we're looking at is to see how this fits with our forecast for stocks. And you can see here that we've got a big pivot high historically. And so what this means is that the cycles that Time Trades is tracking aligned up very strongly with this recent high in the 30-year bond. So what that does is it gives us a little bit of a bias that bond prices are going to be heading down here into maybe late September. And yes, I can see here that around August 30th, we've got a big cluster of green. So why am I ignoring that? Well, I guess I'm not really ignoring that. I know it's there. But one of the things that I do like to do is I like to see how things are fitting with recent actual prices. So we've got a pivot high aligning with the early August high. And the next big pivot is September 20th to September 29th in this range, okay? So this could be a bit of a pop-up in that broader downtrend here into late September. We've also got a cluster of red here around September 9th, and then September 20th is when we start to see the pivot lows. So I'm of the opinion that we see a move, a continuation of the move down in bonds, implying rates going up into this cluster of pivot lows in late September. Now, keep in mind, these are, 40%, 43%, that sort of level of probability. They aren't super high. So my confidence in that interpretation is not high either. We'll have to really focus in on price quite a bit. But the other reason why I'm leaning bearish on bonds is you take a look at how it respects the Mercury speed curve as well. Last time Mercury slowed down, we saw it come down into a pretty significant low here right around June 14th. And that low happened just as Mercury was turning direct. So I'm going to go by what happened last time. That's usually what I do in terms of interpreting these things. We've got Mercury slowing, and that's coming down right into this cluster of lows here. And you can see how some of these big clusters of green bars in the past indicated kind of rallies within a broader bear market. So that's what I think we're going to see here in August. So I think the trend to higher rates will continue, at least on the long side. All right, so that's TLT. Let's take a look at IEF. IEF is showing a pivot high over here, August 18th, 19th, and that's aligned with our teal line date. And then we've got a cluster of pivot lows around September 6th, early September in that. And you can see that IEF, or the shorter term notes, also respects the Mercury speed line quite well. And so it looks to me like the end of this strength in bonds is coming. So in my interpretation, we're going to see bonds decline down into this cluster of pivot lows as Mercury slows down. Okay. So let's take a look at UNG. Let's see what Time Trades has to say about UNG. So there's a nice cluster of pivot highs here, again, right around our teal line day on the 19th, 22nd. So that's probably when I'm going to be taking off some of my natural gas position. This thing, as you know, is very volatile. And you want to lock in profits whenever you get a chance. All right, let's take a look at the crypto world here. We've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin definitely showing some strength here as it's trying its hardest to reach above this important white magic level of 24,400. In the face of slowing Mercury. So it's doing pretty good, to be honest. The dominant features in the forecast are these pivot highs coming up, August 24, 25. But there's also a fair bit of down pressure here. This isn't the clearest forecast, to be honest. I would be trading this pretty much based on price and ignoring some of the probabilities, because we've got some low probabilities forecast, and we're right around a magic level where we can see lots of breakouts, retests. The magic level is probably the best way to be trading Bitcoin at the moment, as it's bouncing around this key 24,000 level. Okay, Ethereum's showing a lot more strength than Bitcoin, and it's also got a clearer forecast. I think we can see this cluster of pivot highs here on August 18th basically act as a magnet as it continues to move up, and also this magic level here at 22,000. I wouldn't be surprised to see that act as a magnet. So, and also we've got a confirming cluster of green days here, also right around August 20th. So in the crypto world, it looks like a very bullish forecast for Ethereum. I want to take a quick look at MATIC. This is a new addition to the time trade script, and it looks a lot like Ethereum with a nice cluster of green days up here heading into a pivot high. So again, this is a very nice bullish setup for MATIC. And we're going to wrap things up with a look at HCL Technologies. This is our the stock on the National Stock Exchange that we've been following. It's kind of been going sideways here for the past week. It's not looking super strong, to be honest. We've got more bias down than up. There's very little indication on the upside for any up potential here. And we've got a pivot low coming into August 22nd that aligns with a 2 standard deviation down day forecast. So definitely looks like there's some headwinds here on HCL Technologies, and you can even see that just looking at the price action here. So be very careful here if you're long. Definitely keep a close stop on this. This may even be worth a very short trade into August 22nd. The bias seems to be down, right? But wait and observe the price action around the magic level, because often when price crosses a magic level, there's a retest. My suggestion is to wait for the retest and gauge if that's going to fail or succeed. Okay, and that's it for this week. Thanks again for watching, and good luck trading this week. We'll talk again next week. Bye now.